Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to Science and Values, the course that you're taking this summer. Um, the purpose of this video, other than you watching me scratch my eye. Um, I'm making this video. I just wanted to introduce myself and say a little bit about the course. And I'm not going to say anything too specific because I sent you a pretty detailed email with a lot of the information you'll need for the assignments and when things are due and the requirements and things like that. I've also posted the syllabus. So hopefully that will answer any specific questions you have. But of course, you can email me if you need to. I'm always available and I will strive to respond as quickly as I can. With that said, I just want to say a little bit about who I am. You'll be seeing some videos of me over the next several weeks as you take this course, and I just want to say a little bit who I am, what the course is going to be about, and that's about it for this particular video. Um, so my name is David Antonini. I have a PhD in philosophy. I got my PhD in 2018 from Southern Illinois University, which is in Carbondale, Illinois, which is located very, very far south in Illinois. Most people know of the state of Illinois mostly because of Chicago. But Carbondale is about 5 hours south of Chicago. It's a very big state. It is not far from Kentucky and some other states. Um, I have now completed 2 years at Clemson. I came to Clemson as a lecturer in the fall 2018 semester, and I just finished my second year. Um, and prior to graduate school, which I was in Carbondale for 7 years doing my graduate work. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and so South Carolina is the third state that I've lived in. With that said, that's just a little bit about me. I think as I've thought about doing online courses, the longer I've done them, they're kind of strange. I'm this person on the other end of a computer who's grading you and assigning you things, and I just thought recently that it might be helpful to actually see me and know at least a little bit about who I am, even if we may never actually meet in person. Clemson's a huge university, and so even when classes are back starting in the fall, it's possible we might never actually meet in person. So at least you get to see me through these videos. Um, that said, let me just say a little bit about the course. When I got to Clemson into fall of 2018, I took over this course called Science and Values. And it was a course that was given to me upon my arrival. It's not something I necessarily have a background in, but I think I've learned a little bit about how to teach the course, having done it now for I do it every fall semester, a regular course in the classroom. So I've done it in fall 2018 and fall 2019. I've taught two sections of the course each semester. So I think I've learned a little bit about how to teach it. But again, I don't have a background in what you would call philosophy of science, which is something that philosophers pursue. My background is more in social and political philosophy, so I tend to bring that kind of angle into this course. Um, so let me just say a bit about what the course is and what the course isn't. Something I've learned um, as I've taught the course is that students, you guys, obviously, this is a required course for most of you are all science majors. You probably have little to no background in philosophy, and I'm very sympathetic to that. Nonetheless, I do expect you to understand why science needs to have philosophical questions asked about it. I expect you to see the relevance of philosophy for your careers, your future careers in science, whatever that might be. Some of you may be going on to be doctors. I know that when I teach the course regularly, there's a lot of students who are pursuing careers in medicine, and they're headed off to medical school after they, do their degrees at Clemson. That said, I guess the one thing I hope and sincerely wish that you take away from this course is that you understand why philosophy, thinking philosophically, is relevant to science and a career in science. That's the one big takeaway I want you to have from this course. Um, because, in particular, I should say that this is not bioethics. Bioethics is a very popular course that's taught in philosophy departments everywhere. It tackles really big questions like gene editing is obviously a hot topic right now. Use stem cell therapies, you know, uh, abortion, euthanasia, informed consent, physician-assisted suicide. All of these are big topics in bioethics, but those are not the topics that we're going to be touching on in this course. There is another course offered by the philosophy department that's called bioethics, and I often have found that students enter this course expecting it to be a bioethics course. But I didn't. So I should say first of all, I didn't design the curriculum at Clemson. I'm not the one who decided you have to take this course. But given that I am the one who teaches it, in order to not step on anyone else's toes, I am not. I intentionally do not do this as a bioethics course because the philosophy department offers a bioethics course. And so if that's a course you want to take, you can take it. But it's not what this course is. And so even though you may have had that expectation, and I have found students in the past have, that's not what this course is. So I just want to put that out there up front, and I do have that on the syllabus. Nonetheless, let me just say something a little bit about what this course is and how I conceive of it. The title of the course, Science and Values, is itself a field within philosophy. Within the more general field of philosophy of science, there is a kind of subfield called Science and Values. And indeed, the very title of this course is the same as the name of this subfield, called Science and Values. Indeed, the author of the text that you had to purchase for the class, Kevin Elliott, is himself a scholar in this subfield of science and values. And so science and values, the reason that it emerges, it's something that's emerged in the 20th century because there is a view among scientists, I think scientists and even some philosophers of science. And this dates back as far as the modern period in science with Francis Bacon. There's a modern view of science as an activity that we might call value free, which is to say that science is simply a science is a descriptive activity. It is not a value laden or what we might call a normative activity. Scientists do not make value judgments about the world. They simply describe the world as it is, as the world reveals itself to them. The scientist's job is simply to, collect facts and report those facts to the public. And insofar as that's what science is, it has nothing to. Science need not concern itself with value considerations. Science is descriptive, values are normative, and the two fundamentally clash with each other. And therefore, scientists, again, need not concern themselves with those kinds of values. Now, this view, I think you might even come to realize as you're listening to me that this view is a little bit naive, that it has come to be challenged fairly strongly from within philosophy, but also probably from within science itself, that this is a mistaken view of science. It is an idealized view of science that has no bearing on the reality of what scientists do on a daily basis. It imagines that scientists are somehow over here, outside of society, which we might imagine is over here, and scientists somehow stand outside of this thing we call society or the world and look down on it as just these neutral observers. And it's so that view itself is mistaken because scientists are actually very much embedded within society. Scientists are themselves citizens within the larger society. They have a role to play. Their work has implications for the larger society. Now, that might seem obvious to you, but there are lots of individuals who are wanting to defend this view of science that we might call the value-free ideal. But for the purposes of this course, we're not going to spend a lot of time defending that view. Some of the readings you do will mention it, and I will mention it in future lecture videos. But for the purposes of this course, the idea is that scientists uh, are very much embedded in society and must uh, uh, consider values in their work. Whether that means in how they communicate with the public, for example, trying to decide how they should communicate their knowledge to the public. They have to make value considerations when they do that in order, which aspects of their work should they emphasize when they communicate with the public. That is a value consideration. Choosing to value one aspect of your work over another aspect in deciding how you communicate with the public. Um, Scientists also have to, the question is, can we hold scientists morally responsible when they fail to communicate with the public in a proper way? Now, you may think some of the easier, sort of ethical questions when it comes to science are we expect scientists to be honest. We expect them not to, purposely falsify their data, and so that's kind of easy. We also expect scientists to treat their research subjects well. So we expect a scientist not to intentionally harm the subjects in their study, and we also expect scientists not to, harm animals intentionally in their study. But those two about, honest data reporting and not intentionally harming subjects, those at least in my mind are at least fairly obvious. Most of you know that. And so that's not, so you may think, yes, obviously scientists have ethical considerations, but those two are kind of obvious. We're sort of interested in some a little bit more nuance, um, thinking in particular in this course about scientists and their interaction with the public when they communicate with the public, and what ethical responsibility scientists have when they communicate with the public. That's going to be one of the things that we are considering over the course of this course. In particular, in light of the pandemic and COVID-19, a lot has come up in how scientists should be doing their research and communicating with the public. What kinds of obligations do scientists have to be honest with the public about research studies surrounding drugs and things like that? Should we be lowering standards of evidence, for example, in order to get a vaccine produced quicker? Because the public's demands, the social value of saving more lives and getting the vaccine out quicker might outweigh getting the vaccine perfect. Although, of course, if you don't have the vaccine perfect, you might harm individuals. And so you can see, just surrounding a question like that, there are a number of value considerations. And so one of the things that we're going to continuously come back to is the consideration of epistemic values. And epistemic is simply a term in philosophy that refers to knowledge. So the value of knowledge, the epistemic value of knowledge versus other kinds of values like public health, for example, and weighing getting everything exactly right in terms of the science versus public health that obviously takes, in the context of a vaccine. So that's going to be one of the bigger focuses is the role of the epistemic value of science, the knowledge values in science versus some of these other social values and things of that sort. Um, so that just gives you a flavor of what's going to be going on in the course. I'm going to have some future lecture videos for you to accompany the readings, and those will be posted shortly. But again, I just want to highly encourage you. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to email me. I'm also available for Zoom meetings during the spring break when we had to quickly, or during the spring semester when we had to quickly transition to online teaching. I found, students found the Zoom meetings especially helpful. Um, and so even though this is an online course and you may never usually meet your online teachers, I'm happy to do a Zoom meeting because it's easy and we can connect really quickly, and it's a easier way to answer your questions, especially when it comes to potentially discussing the final paper that you have to write in the class. Anyways, that's all I have. I wish all of you luck in the course, and if you need anything, please do not hesitate to contact me.